It's your summer. What the bird is barbecuing.
G'day jabronis, my name is The Verd, and as you guys know, I'm your head coach at the Tampa Bay Frogadiers, and we are back! People, it's been so long, I've been waiting, I've been hyped, Pokemon got released, so now we can finally do these battles. And week 1 is a definite huge challenge for us. We have the Richmond Rayquazas, coached by Dom's Game Room. He is going to be a very, very, very tough opponent to deal with. He has a very scary team. It's a lot of cool Pokemon, some big threats, some not so much. So basically today what I'm going to be doing is just explaining to you the team that I brought, explaining how it works against his team, just pretty much that's in general how it's going to go down. If you're not used to my team builders, basically I'll just kind of go over the team a little bit in general, kind of explaining like what does well in the matchup and why I'm bringing certain things. And I do go into a bit more depth, like in my draft format, my draft recap. I don't really talk about it that much because I'd rather save it for the team building so you can understand. And especially against someone like Dom, where I'm only going to face him potentially once for the season, I can kind of go a bit all out. If it was against a divisional rival, I'd probably be a bit more conservative about the stuff that I'm doing. Like, I'd still talk about the sets, but I might not reveal all the big sets that I'm planning. So for this one against Dom, I can kind of go all out. So if you guys are hyped to see this, like this video, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's just get right into this. So, kicking things off, we got Ninetales. Now, Alola Ninetales in this matchup is phenomenal. As a lead, it is insanely good. It matches up very, very, very well against my opponent's team, incredibly well. If he doesn't lead with a Scarf Darmanitan, I'm pretty much assured to get off Aurora Veil. Now, if you don't know what Aurora Veil is, basically, it is like Light Screen plus Reflect when it is hailing. Now, obviously, Ninetales has the ability Snow Warning, which allows it to hail, and with Light Clay, it means that I will get the Aurora Veil for 8 turns. Now, that includes the first turn it's set up, by the way, so that means, technically, aside from Ninetales being out in the field, I have 7 turns to abuse this, and I have got some very nice abusers of Aurora Veil in the back, but that's not even, like, the kicker, really. Freeze Dry against my opponent's team is phenomenal because he only has really one resist to Freeze Dry, and that's a Scavalier. And Darmanitan, I guess. Those two things are the only ones that resist. I was thinking about Hidden Power Fire, but I decided to go with Hidden Power Rock. The reason being is because not only does it hit Darmanitan and Kyurem, but it also gets a bit of damage off against the Scavalier, and it also hits Togekiss potentially on switch in too. So that was really nice. Now, you might be thinking that Verd, you're going to have 176, so that's not going to be ideal when you go into the battle. However, I can do Hyper Training to maximize all of Ninetales stats while still having Hidden Power Rock, which means that I'll be able to Speed Type with the Heliolisk and be able to outspeed Keldeo by a point. So that is crucial for me. The main aim of this guy, though, is to get up the Aurora Veil and be annoying. Encore is great in this matchup, too, because he has the Reuniclus, the Kyurem, the Togekiss, even the Credilli to an extent, things that my Ninetales can come in against, and Encore them into moves they don't necessarily want to be locked into at that point in time. Which is really, really nice to me. I can definitely take advantage of a lot of situations doing that as well. It really shuts down Nasty Plot Togekiss trying to pass, but also shuts down sub Kyurem, which I think, against my team, if you see it, is a very nice matchup. So being able to shut that down is incredibly, incredibly important. But that's the first one on the team. It's semi-defensive, more kind of like a support role, if anything. It's not going to hit actually that hard offensively, so don't expect like it to break through walls. It's just going to get good chip damage to set up my sweepers for the win. Next up, we got fully defensive Stoice. This is really nice in this matchup because he has the Keldeo, he has the Darmanitan, and he has the Escavalier. Those are the 3 big things that Blastoise is kind of designed to deal with. Darmanitan, for sure, is a big threat for my opponent. A Scarf Darmanitan seems to be the best for this matchup. If you look at my team, with the fact that I have Scully plus Blaze, it makes a lot of sense for it to be Scarfed. This pretty much deals with the Scarf set, and you might be thinking, but Verd, you can just consistently go for U-turn, chip you down, eventually beat you. He would be able to do that if it wasn't for Nomalium Z plus Refresh. What this does is not only will it cure any status ailments that I have, so if I have like Toxic or Paralysis, it will heal those and fully heal my Blastoise, getting it back up to full health, which is just great. That's like perfect for me in this matchup. Rapid Spin for obvious reasons, getting rid of those annoying hazards. Toxic because I want to be able to catch things like the Credilli, Virizion, Kyurem, all that stuff, and get them poisoned. And Scald just for general, just, if you want to get a burn on something, might as well get a burn on something. It shuts down a lot of submons, like it'll weaken them over time, so that's really, really nice. And Blastoise itself just pairs really well with my specially defensive wall here in the Gourgeist. I really like specially defensive Gourgeist in this matchup because it has a couple of really important roles. For one, it is another check to Keldeo, it checks Superior, Heliolisk, Credilli, Virizion, stuff like that. What's really good about this too is its scouting ability. So first and foremost, Frisk, which allows me to see what item my opponent's rocking, is really important because I can suss, like if he's going to be Specs or Scarf or what he's going to do, and I can play better around that. Then I also have Protect, because I do feel like he's going to bring Scarf Darmanitan, which does come in like a lot of times against Gourgeist. What I can do is just go for the Protect to see what he wants to go for, because a lot of times in mocks, what I was finding was that I was running Lefty's Gourgeist, I was running Toxic on Gourgeist over Protect, and it was basically just Darmanitan would U-turn, Heliolisk would Volt Switch, and it was very, very frustrating. So with Protect, I can predict him to go for the U-turn, I can stay in and take advantage of that situation and hit something on his team quite hard. So that was really, I liked that a lot. Magic Coat is really good too. For those of you who don't know, Magic Coat basically allows you to bounce back a status move that your opponent does on yourself or any kind of thing. So if your opponent, so basically if Credilli comes in against this thing, it's screwed, because if it goes for Toxic, it's going to get bounced back right back at it. If it goes for Rocks, they're going to get bounced back right back at it. It's also really good against Quillfish. If Quillfish comes in, I can bounce back the Spikes or the T-Spikes or the Toxic. I can be a general nuisance, and that's very, very annoying for my opponent. I don't think he's going to bring Toxic Spikes just because I have a Scolopy, but I do think he's going to bring Spikes. So being able to lock that down is going to be really important. And I guess kind of finishing off the defensive aspect, it's kind of semi-defensive, semi-offensive, is Metagross. Basically, this thing is designed to deal with Kyurem plus Togekiss, and also just kind of deals with a lot of other stuff just by itself, being the Fatmon is also is a Reuniclus check. So those guys, those three in the middle there, Blastoise, Gourgeist, and Metagross, are the main things trying to stop my opponent from destroying me. But at the same time, offensively speaking, my opponent has really nothing for Metagross. The only real thing that comes in against it is a Scavalier, and a Scavalier's matchup isn't really that great, guys. When you factor in that I have, the Scolopy, the Blaziken, the Zapdos, other things like that, it doesn't really match up that great. So if he doesn't bring it, it just gives Metagross like free reign. It can do really well. He doesn't really have a lot of switch-ins for it. It can take hits from a lot of mons. Because it has Clear Body, Quillfish can't intimidate it as well, which is fantastic. It doesn't really have too many issues with any mons. Even if Togekiss gets up a Nasty Plot and goes for Air Slashes, I can just spam Bullet Punch instead. I don't care. It's not going to be that big of a deal. So I definitely think this is going to be a really strong set. It is also my main switch into Togekiss for the fact that if he runs potentially the Kebia Berry for my Scolipede, I can go into Metagross and absorb that T-Wave, which is really nice. Plus, if he does bring a Trick Room Reuniclus, which against 2 Speed Boost users is probably the smart thing to do, it actually is really nice for Metagross, because not only can I deal with Reuniclus 1v1 in Trick Room, but at the same time, if my Metagross, because Metagross is quite slow against a lot of my opponent's team, it'll actually outspeed a lot of them under Trick Room and become even more of a threat. So if he does bring the Trick Room, it's actually going to be a bit of a negative for him, but we'll see how that one goes. Next up, we have Scolopy, the first of my 2 sweepers. Just the speed boost sweeping potential against my opponent is ridiculous. I can just go for SDs and spam. I have Protect on Scolipede because I want to be able to outspeed Scarf Darmanitan. So basically, being able to get off 1 Protect, one speed boost will allow me to outspeed Darmanitan 100% of the time, which is fantastic. I'll be able to bop that thing straight away. Life Orb Poison Jab does, I think, 70% to Darm, so all I really do is just get a bit of chip damage, and that's where Ninetales Hail also comes into play really clutch at the early point of the game, because it can chip away at Darmanitan little bit by little bit to basically set it up to the point where Scolipede can kill it. And that's really important for this battle, guys. Setting up things to the point where Scolipede and Blaziken can basically just knock them down. Mega Horn plus Poison Jab is pretty much perfect coverage for my opponent's team, deals with almost everything he has, so that's just great. And finishing it off, we do have another fast sweeper in my Blaziken. I believe that's meant to be 76, not 78. That makes more sense. Cool. So Blaziken is just so good in this matchup. Life Orb, Adamant Blaziken pretty much just wins by itself, because his best check on paper is Quillfish, and at +1 Adamant after the SD, I'll be at +1. Adamant Life Orb EQ will always knock out Quillfish. The one thing I have to watch out for that I've been seeing a lot of mocks that I really got to be careful of is Aqua Jet. Aqua Jet's really annoying. It deters me a lot, so I got to really play around that, or have the Veil up, and that way it's not going to be that big of a deal. But these two under Veil is terrifying, because a lot of things aren't going to be able to break through, and that's why I have the Aurora Veil plus Hidden Power Rock, because I can go for that on a Scavalier, then go into either Blaziken or Scolipede, set up an SD, and they can just kill it with EQ. They don't even need to go for the other moves. I have Flare Blitz. You're probably wondering why Flare Blitz over Fire Punch. The reason is because of Reuniclus. I think potentially a physically defensive Carmine Reuniclus could be the way that he goes with it this week. Potentially rocking that Tangerberry to deal with the Scolipede, and because of that, that's why I'm running the Flare Blitz, because a +2 Flare Blitz with a Life Orb will always OHKO Reuniclus, and That's kind of important. Although I could chip Reuniclus other ways, like potentially with Pursuit Metagross, this is a much more reliable solution. And so I'd rather, you know, go with this than with any other alternative. I have been tempted to drop a Zen Headbutt on Metagross, but I like Zen Headbutt for Keldeo plus the Quillfish. I think it's really nice. Also just a general stab move, since the only resist is either Reuniclus or a Scavalier, and if he doesn't bring a Scavalier, Reuniclus doesn't really want to come in on this thing, so overall it's good. So that's the basic team. Now here are some things I kind of just want to discuss and break down with you. So obviously one of the bigger missions from this team is Nidoqueen. You're probably thinking like, China's your bae, why haven't you brought China? Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. One, it's for kind of unpredictability, because I always bring Nidoqueen, and he knows that. He knows, like, Dom and I know each other really well, so this is playing into the fact that we know each other. He knows that I bring Nidoqueen a lot, and if you look at the matchup, Nidoqueen slaughters his team. It literally, like, rips through it. So I'm thinking he's going to counter that by bringing, like, an Assault Vest Reuniclus, actually, to this matchup, which, against my Metagross, is totally fine. I can deal with that so fine. My Ninetales can deal with that shit. It's, like, not even a big deal. Like, Assault Vest also just loses to Scolipede plus Blaziken, but if you look at my opponent's team, there is not a lot for Nidoqueen there. It rips through a lot of things, and his best counter on that team is either a very bulky Keldeo or the Reuniclus set that I mentioned, the Assault Vest with Regenerator. Either way, that's not really going to bother me. I think, you know, I just didn't bring Nidoqueen because there wasn't any room for it, offensively speaking. I think Scolipede as a poison type is a lot better offensively in this matchup, but I think he's going to predict the Nidoqueen to come. He has to build around that because Nidoqueen is such a big threat for his team, especially because I can speed pass to it. He definitely needs to find ways to deal with that, and I think Reuniclus is the best way. So I decided not to bring it because I can take advantage of him having to prepare for that by not bringing it. Another thing I didn't bring was Zapdos. Again, another Pokemon that actually has a reasonably good matchup, but because Zapdos is there, I think it's going to lead him to want to bring Credilli. And I'm really happy if he brings Credilli because that's going to allow my Rosemary, my Gorgeist, to take complete advantage of that thing. Like, I can just easily Magic Coat that Credilli and shut it down so fast, so great. Also, I should have mentioned, Flame Charge is there for Sub Superior and Sub Virizion in order to break their subs. Plus, it gives me a bit of a speed boost if I ever need to really hit something else hard with a certain move, like, you know, maybe against Heliolisk if I want to get some speed up and then maybe hit that thing. Potentially, I take nothing from Helio, by the way. I was initially running other things to do with Helio, but Gorgeist kind of walls the shit out of it, so that's great. But yeah, other things really, I guess maybe Hydreigon is another Pokemon, but I think he's going to bring, you know, potentially something like Escav or Togekiss to deal with that, both of which I don't really mind. Like, Escavalier is not a big issue. Blastoise kind of deals with it under Veil quite nicely, and Togekiss really isn't a problem. I have Metagross, which just walls it to hell and back, which is fantastic. Main threats that he has in his team. So Reuniclus and Darmanitan are probably the big two. Probably Reuniclus, Darmanitan, and Heliolisk would be the three that I would highlight. The Volt turn's annoying because I didn't bring a ground type. It's definitely frustrating, but that's why I have the Protect on Gorgeist, to shut that down. Like, Helio is in, I go out to Gorgeist, he goes for Volt Switch, goes out to Darmanitan, I can Protect to see what Darmanitan wants to do, and then go from there. So I have that. I really wish I could run Toxic, but Magic Coat is so much better in this matchup, guys. Seriously, I can drop a Seed Bomb as Credilli comes in, Magic Coat, either he gets Toxic or he's setting up rocks or something, I can just counter that so quick, so fast, so great. It's also really nice against Keldeo, actually, the Magic Coat, because you would be surprised how many Keldeos like I've faced in mocks where they've gone for Taunt or the Toxic, and you can just catch them right back with it. So both of those are phenomenal. I think, honestly, the matchup does favor me a bit, which is not normal. I mean, I do have quite a good matchup every now and then, but I think, you know, the problem with a lot of his breakers are they just don't match up that great against my team. The other just big thing, offensively speaking, is his checks to Metagross, Scolipede, and Blaziken are very minimal. Same with Nidoqueen. So for that fact, he may have to go very hyper offensive. I do expect more hyper offense. That's the other reason why I didn't bring my Nidoqueen, was because if he does bring hyper offense, like, Nidoqueen's getting outsped by Keldeo, Serp, Darm, Helio, Kyurem, and then Reuniclus can just set up Trick Room. So it didn't really have the best matchup there. So that was overall why I decided not to bring it. But I do feel very confident with this team. The aim is really to get in Ninetales early, get up the dual screens pretty much with the Aurora Veil, and then go from there. Kind of, you know, be able to deal with his pivots with these two guys, and then just start battering away. Like, Metagross is basically a battering ram. That's all he does. He can bust open holes. Because the thing is, if you look at my opponent's team, when it comes to checks to Scolipede first, let's just talk about Scolipede. So really, the thing stopping Scolipede from dominating his team are potentially Reuniclus, potentially Escavalier, and maybe Togekiss. Maybe. Other than that, it's pretty much just blowing through everything, so all I gotta do is just weaken those. Metagross basically weakens every single one of those to that point, so that's fine. And then when you look at Blaziken, all Blaziken really has to worry about is potentially the Aqua Jet on Quillfish, Potentially has to worry about a bulky Reuniclus. It doesn't really worry about that much on my opponent's team. Honestly, Blaziken has the ability to sweep through. I really want to run Fire Punch, but you're losing 45 base power, and honestly, although you have the Life Orb, you can click Earthquake on a lot of things. Like Earthquake Oko's Keldeo, it Oko's Dam, Helio, Quillfish, Credilli, Escavalier. It probably just destroys Kyurem. So there's not a lot of things you're actually clicking Flare Blitz on, and you're bringing it in later in the game when a lot of those threats are going to be weakened as well, which opens the door for me to not take as much recoil. So it is risky, but at the same time, Blaziken and Scully both do the job of sweeping. So Blaziken can open some serious holes early in the game. It can kill like 3 or 4 mons just by itself, just ripping through them. And then Scully can come in later and clean up. Even Metagross can come in later and clean up. So I have the avenues. I have ways to deal with both of his speed tiers as well. Metagross is actually designed where it's quite slow still, so I can take advantage of that. And then I was tempted to creep like Reuniclus with other stuff, but I decided against it. I think, you know, Super Gorgeist is just so good in this matchup, being able to swallow up hits. I believe what I actually did though with this one is I took the 12 out of there, and I believe I put the 12 into attack, just because I wanted to be able to hit a little bit harder. Whoa, Maggie, you scared the shit out of me. She's like lying there sleeping. I know she was, and now she's awake. But Maggie, don't. Stop it. I'm almost done with my recording. Zip it. Anyway, Flame Charge is really nice to hit the Escav. The Virizion, all that stuff is actually going to be really useful, I think. And I'm really excited to use this. I'm not going to blabber on anymore about it. I think the matchup is really good, which is surprising for me. I'm a little bit nervous. This is the first week. This is my first real competitive match since the championship match last season. So we're going to see how it goes. I'm very excited for it. If you guys have enjoyed this, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Hopefully your Tampa Bay Frogadiers can come out with a week 1 victory. But as always, guys, I'm the Verd. I'm out this